What's going on, guys? Whiskey here with a pretty exciting story for you guys today. So this is a fan request that happened a couple weeks ago, and I'm finally getting to it. It's going to be out a couple days ago, but the original story I had picked was a World War II raid. It was a tie-in for Italian American, since the request that I got was for stuffed shells. Stuffed shells, Italian American, boom, story. But I found another story quite by accident that just blew my fucking mind. And I was like, you guys need to hear this. I'd never heard it before, so if you guys heard it, if it's more famous than I'm aware of, then meh. Now, before we get into this, you guys don't forget to like, add, subscribe, comment, and get that name out there, alright? Hope you guys are enjoying the content, and you guys know I take any criticism. I have thick skin, so you guys want other stuff in there, we get other stuff in there. So I'm banging back the shot, and we're gonna get right into this one, guys, because this is a good one. Now, when you guys think game shows or game show winners, like famous game show winners, to me at least, the first one that comes to mind is the guy from Jeopardy. Jennings, I think. That's his name, Jennings? Where he won like millions of dollars from Jeopardy, which is my favorite game show, by the way. Now, from there, you go down the top 10 list. They're mostly like Jeopardy. That's where most of them are from, and most of them are sort of more on the recent side of things. That's not who we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about the game Press Your Luck and Mike Larson. Oh, hey, I forgot to do the thing where we go split screen. So, and pop, there it is. Okay, there we go. Now we're split screen. So the game Press Your Luck aired in 1983, and at the time it was billed as the most technologically advanced game out there. The game, or at least the premise or centerpiece of the game, was this board with 18 squares around it, right? The squares were lit from the back with rotating prizes. There were 3 prizes per square. So what a contestant would do if it was their turn to spin, the board would start spinning, the board would start spinning, they would hit a button, and it would stop. And whatever it stopped on is the prize you would get. And there was monetary prizes like cash prizes, extra spins, trips, boats, things like that. Now, after each spin, you could, even if you earned more spins, you could pass your spins on or continue on if you still had spins, which they'd say was pressing your luck. And of course, mixed in with those 18 squares were squares known as whammies. This red goblin gremlin looking thing. If you landed on that, you lost all your money. I'm going to assume this is where that whole no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, stop thing came from. Blew my mind. Had absolutely no idea. I've seen it referenced like a million times too. Now, as I said, there's 18 squares with 3 prizes per square. That comes out to 54 outcomes, right? 54 different outcomes. There were 9 whammies mixed in to those squares. So it was a 1 in 6 chance that you were going to hit a whammy and lose all your money. So that was the premise of the game. It was pretty popular. The average winning for someone who'd win an episode was about $14,000. And there was this kind of a soft cap at 25 grand. It's not that they would cut you off automatically, but the game was essentially programmed with the odds plus the speed would increase of the wheel, that you wouldn't really make it past 25K. That's important to remember. Let's talk about Michael Larson for a minute. He was born in Ohio in 1949. Very intelligent kid, but didn't like to do real work. Thought that real work was for losers who didn't know how to work the system. Hell, from a young age, this kid was going to, convenience stores, buying candy bars, and then selling them at school for like double the amount. This is according to his brother. So, I mean, from a young age, he was trying to hustle. He was hustling, man. Hustling people. Getting stacks on stacks. Now, this didn't change as he got older. When he got older, he would exploit any system he could to try to get money. He was addicted to infomercials and game shows to try to get rich quick. At one point, there was a bank near him that was giving $500 to people who would open up a checking account. So he opened up multiple checking accounts in multiple people's names, got the $500, withdrew it, and then closed the account after the predetermined time had passed. In another instance, he opened a company under one of his family members' names, hired himself, then fired himself to collect unemployment. This guy would go to any length to not do honest work and make some money out of it. Shit, the only real work this kid did, I say kid, this guy did, was at one point he was an air conditioner mechanic, or like fixer-upper technician, and an ice cream truck driver. So not really lofty aspirations in any sort of industry. It was really all about that get rich quick crap. He started studying game shows. First he studied The Price is Right and Wheel of Fortune and found out they're unhackable. Side note though, I believe, and I gotta check this, I think Price is Right was hacked at one point in time. I could be wrong, but I think someone hacked it. That might have to be another episode of this. But anyway, he couldn't find any hacks in that. So he became obsessed with Press Your Luck. He figured there had to be a flaw. There had to be something he could exploit. So he started recording episodes on his VCR. And he would spend 18 hours a day studying these episodes, going frame by frame, trying to find some fucking flaw. That's dedication. That's dedication. Just putting that out there. Finally, magically, apparently, excitingly, he found a flaw. He found a fucking flaw. Squares 4 and 8. So I'm going to throw this up there. I think up there. I'm going to say up there. I'm going to throw the board up there with its prizes per square. Okay. And if you start in the upper left and you number that as 1, the upper left corner, and you go clockwise around the board, going 1, 2, 3, 4 to 18. So we'll go. So starting that. That's how we're doing this, right? So 1, 2, 3. All right. Squares 4 and square 8 were always cash prizes, and they were never whammies. Important. So he found this pattern, and he practiced. He would watch reruns, and he would pause them, shabah, when he thought that he would hit the button in real time, to sort of hone his skill. Is that what it? Would it be honing skill? Honing a skill. I guess it's a skill. So he practiced and practiced until he became, I don't know, an expert? Sure, we'll call it an expert press your lucker. Sure. He then withdrew the rest of whatever money he had left. I'm sure it was drying up from ice cream delivery truck driver. He withdrew that money so he could get from Ohio to LA to audition, because that was his only roadblock. How do I get into the show? How do I get picked as a contestant? So he gets to LA and he goes to audition. Now the day he goes to audition there's like 50 people who are trying to get on the show. The moment he walks in, and I mean like the second he walks in, there were executives who just didn't trust him. Something felt off about this weird guy from Ohio. Somehow, he convinced the executive producer, Bill Carruthers, to let him on the show. I mean, the story would be awesome. You know, some small town guy, small town nobody, wins big on Press Your Luck. The other executives were like, just, I don't know, something doesn't seem right, something's not kosher about the whole thing. But he made it. He made it on. He was scheduled for 19th of May, 1984. So, 19th of May comes. There's 2 other contestants and a host. The 2 contestants are Ed Long, a Baptist minister, Janice Litras, a dental assistant. And then there's the host, Peter Tomarkin. They kick it off with the trivia round. Remember, the trivia round, if you win the trivia round, or you win questions in the trivia round, you win spins, right? So trivia round kicks off. And Larson shits the fucking bed. He answers early and answers wrong. And by the end of the round, He is in last place with 3 measly spins. According to the rules of the game, if you're in last place with the trivia round, you go first with the spins. So, he goes first with the spins, and nerves got to him because his first fucking spin was a whammy. He lost all the money he didn't have. Right? And then he gets a little more, I'm not going to say confident, but calms down a little bit, ends up winning a couple thousand by the end of the round, but he's still in last place, behind Long and Latrace. Which is funny. We got Long, Larson, Latrace, 3 L's. Who's gonna get the L by the end of this? One of these is an L. They go into the second trivia round, and Larson does a little better. Still in last place, though. So, he gets to spin first. So, we're in the second round. The second round is when shit pops off. I'm not going to get into the details. I'm going to throw up the list up there from Priceonomics.com, by the way. They're the ones who I got a lot of these pictures from. I'm going to put that up there of the amount of spins that he had. He went 47 spins without hitting a whammy. 47. He ended up, at the end of everything, with $110,000 in winnings. Holy shit! Now, in today's money, it's about $220,000. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a fuck ton of money. But in a game show where nobody had ever won over $25K, where the average winning was $14,000, that's a lot of money. That's a lot. 47 straight spins. Whew! The host, Peter Tomarkelson, whatever his name is, he started out really excited. The crowd was going crazy. And he starts excited. He starts way excited. Like, oh, this is awesome. Keep going. You're on a roll. This is great. And it turns to disbelief. Like, you're kidding me. Who does this? Oh, God. Who gets this kind of win? Into disgust. He starts getting disgusted. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't press your luck. Bazinga. That's the name of the show. And things like, the president of CBS is going to call you tomorrow. Like crazy things like that to try to get him to stop. 47 straight spins. The other 2 contestants are like, what the fuck is going on? This is nuts. At one point, he passes his spins to Long, who immediately whammies. He's just so shaken. He just whammies just right there. Who passes it to Latrace, and she gets a couple thousand, and then passes it back to Larson, thinking like, oh, he going whammy. And then he gets a couple thousand more. Whew. Crazy. Up in the booth, CBS executives are watching. And they're losing their fucking minds. They're like, oh my God. Who does this? Is this legal? Can he do this? Can he do this? He can do this. There's a position in the booth where they're watching in real time. And they're like, do you see? And is anything that this guy is doing illegal? Essentially, that's their job, to make sure that everything's going on in the show is copacetic, right? It's above board. And as they're watching, they're like, damn, he's not doing anything illegal. Everything he's doing is legit. It is legit. So they can't stop it. Finally, the show ends. $110,000 to this squirrely-looking bastard from Ohio. CBS is pissed. They are livid. They're like, we are not paying him this shit. Are you going to pay him? We are not paying him that fucking money. No, we are not. We are finding a loophole. Damn it. He found a loophole in us. We'll find a loophole in him. There was no loophole. The next day, they called all the CBS execs into a room, and they watched the episode. They pulled a Larson. They watched it frame by agonizing frame. And there was nothing. There was nothing in any legal documentation in the contract with the show that showed him doing anything illegal. Now, the people who oversaw all this were like, there's no way this was luck. This had to be memorization. And the reason why is you look at the odds. The odds of someone going on the run that he went on were 3 in 10,000, which translates to 0.027%. Astronomical odds. There's no way that he did it by luck alone. He found the pattern, he studied it, and he executed it to perfection. So CBS ended up paying out. At the end of the day, Larson walked away with $90K. CBS immediately changed the formula. They changed the pattern, and then every month after, they would change the 5 patterns that they had. They would just mix them up again. And then eventually would go to 32 different patterns that were run by a PC to make sure that there's no way this could happen again. And it wouldn't, because the show would be canceled 2 years later in September of 1986. So that's it, right? That's it. We're done. Right? We're done? Larson's good. Larson just won a whole bunch of money. So he's good, right? This is good. He's good. We're good. We're not good. We're not good. This story gets weirder and weirder. So Larson comes out of the show with $90K. A good chunk of change. Initially, he puts it in the bank. I'm going to put it in the bank. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to just do the right thing. Just leave it in the bank. They give you some interest. Be good. And a few months after the show, a local radio station runs a contest. If you have a $1 bill with this serial number, you will win $30,000. Larson, being Larson, goes to the bank and withdraws $50,000 in singles, in $1 bills, and spends weeks analyzing the serial numbers, hoping that he has the serial number to win this $30,000. Of course, he doesn't. He doesn't have it. So instead of putting the money back in the bank like a smart person would do, he got lazy. He said, just keep it in the house. Safe in the house. And it was safe in his house. Goes to a Christmas party, comes home, finds the back door of his house kicked in, and $50,000 in singles gone. Straight gone. This began the downward spiral of Michael Larson, if it hadn't already began. So his next quick rich scheme, maybe it wasn't the next one, maybe it was a couple years from then, but anyway, the big one that ended up being his big downward spiral, he got into a Ponzi scheme. He ended up opening a company called Pleasure Time Incorporated. That doesn't sound like a PG-13 kind of company. Just put that out there. Over the years, he got 20,000 investors to invest $3 million in this company. All of a sudden, IRS, FBI, law enforcement starts getting on his tail, and poof, disappears. Falls off the face of the earth until 1999. He resurfaces in Florida, dead from cancer. And that's it. Holy shit, that's it. That's the story of how some random weirdo studied a game show, got on the game show, pissed off CBS, and then disappears into the void, dying 20 years later of cancer. CBS was left very salty by this one, by the way. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys are watching this in real time, it's around the holidays. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I just finished Hanukkah. Me and Mrs. Whiskey will be celebrating Christmas in a few days, and then boom, god damn it, 2021. Be safe. Be safe. Stay legendary like you guys are. And stay feisty. Keep cooking.